Alright guys, it is Tuesday, August 16th, 2022. Today marks 53 days I have left to finish my 55 for an upcoming event in October, which it was going to be a school reunion, but I think I may take it to a car show, but it's the same day. I just don't know 100% on the date for the car show. They usually have that car show in Veneta, Oklahoma on Oktoberfest. Veneta has their Oktoberfest thing going on, and they just happen to have a car show. I can't find anything online. I mean, Oktoberfest is scheduled for the 8th, but that doesn't say anything about the car show. The car show is its own thing. They just always have it on the same day. But I don't know for sure because I can't find a date that says, yeah, the car show is on the 8th. So I'm going to have to call somebody and see if I can find out anything. So, all right, I'm going to put the alternator on here. So I've been asked several times about this alternator bracket. This is an aluminum made on a CNC machine. It's called a mid-mount. You know, they have a low mount, a mid-mount, and the average high mount. But for me, if you have a long water pump, I like the mid-mount. Now, a low mount alternator kit, I'm pretty sure doesn't work on a 55, 6, or 7 Chevy because of the frame cradle. I have seen guys notch their frames and plate them back in to clear. But I like this mid-mount. It's a pretty neat piece. It's, you know, when you open your hood, your alternator is not staring you in the face because it's way up here. So the mid-mount to me it's a little bit cleaner. The best part of a long water pump, it's just one of them things. If you follow GM through the years on their designs for small block Chevy stuff, you know, they changed things throughout the years and they went to a long water pump for a reason. So I don't know if they flow better. I don't know. I don't care. I just use a long water pump, but you have to run your radiator in a 6-cylinder position. Every time I go to the parts store, well, not every time, but when I went to the parts store when I was younger to get a short water pump, they always had to order the stupid thing in. They didn't have it in stock, but long water pumps are in stock because they're the same as some of the 6-cylinders too. So you do have to be careful of rotation on your water pump. Don't get a reverse rotation, but anyway, this is a mid-mount. It's from eBay. I don't remember the seller name. Just type in mid-mount alternator bracket small block Chevy and you'll probably find it. It's not a big company. It's a guy that does it on his own. I'm pretty happy with it. I did have to put a washer behind the pulley for alignment, but this is an aftermarket March aluminum pulley set, so who knows if it's got the correct depth like factory would be. I mean, I don't know, but anyway, my pulleys do align now. It comes with socket cap Allen stuff, and I've changed everything out to 12-point ARP. That alternator is just an SI-10 from the parts store, reman, and I took it apart and smoothed the case, sanded it all down smooth, and primed it and blocked it, and then painted it black. But I drilled speed holes in it and chamfered them and tried to make it look like a nice trick alternator. I did a cast aluminum twisted fan on it because it's cool looking, in my opinion. And then I went with a March pulley set. And this is kind of funny. It seems like you can get them pulley sets in black anodized, but it was more money, I think. So what I did was I bought the raw look, which they're clear anodized. But if I'd went in here and painted all these pulleys, which I painted these black, but if I'd went in and painted grooves and all, the belt would have ended up wearing that off and that paint would have got in the belt. So what I did was I taped off the whole top edge on all the pulleys. So now it's not going to show a wear in paint or anything like that, and it kind of gives it a cool look. So I'm happy with that. It turned out pretty good. I did have to mill down the water pump pulley. Actually, I had a guy that lives over by me that has a lathe over there, milled that down for me because it comes to a point and it stuck out pretty far, and I've got an electric fan on the back side of the radiator, and it was really, really close, and I didn't want that engine moving around and hitting that fan. So I had him shave that down a little bit for me. Now I just got to find my belt. Make sure my Gates logo is facing forward. They're not a sponsor, it's just OCD, I guess. I like the look of that. I think it looks pretty cool that way. So, now what? I'm not going to completely tighten any of that yet because I can't remember. I can't remember if I can get my fuel line snaked down through there or not. I'll have to look, but hopefully I can. Take this off. I do need to work on that bracket for my... I think I've already videoed this a little bit ago, but I made this bracket here out of some plate steel and put it all together and did bodyworked it and painted it and everything, drilled speed holes in it. This is a fuel pressure regulator, a Holley. It's an XP series, but anyway, this will mount up here to this tab on the alternator. And then before I had Edelbrock aluminum heads on it, and they had 5 accessory holes in the heads on those Edelbrocks. So I put a bracket here to bolt to 2 of them, and this cylinder head on this side, these stock GM heads, only have the 1, and it's generally for your regular height GM alternator bolt. It's the long one that goes through there. So anyway, I've got it plugged, and I plugged these 3 with just some short 12 points, but anyway, I don't have those head holes to bolt this to, so I've been kind of racking my brain trying to figure out what to do, and what I think I'm just going to do is I'm just going to cut this bottom bracket off. It'll bolt to this, but it would allow it to move side to side a little bit. That's why I had the extra bracket on there to hold it more firm, but I don't really have anywhere to take it where it looks better, you know. So right now I'm just trying to figure out what to do. I hate to make another piggyback bracket to go to that one. It would look like an afterthought, so I'm thinking I might just cut it off. And if I have to put another bracket back on it in that spot, I may not need it, you know, but in case I do, I might be able to figure something else out. I'm looking at it here while I'm doing a video, so kind of sucks. I know some of the guys that are new to the channel didn't follow along last year when I was having all kinds of issues. So when I got this car running, I have a stock block mounted fuel pump from O'Reilly's for just a stock small block Chevy. I had a problem when I started the car. It was spitting fuel out of the vent tube, and the engine was flooding out, and it was rolling black smoke in here really bad, making my eyes burn. It ended up being, on the gauge, it was putting out 8.2 psi, which is too much for this needle and seat. It was pushing past it. So I went down and warrantied the fuel pump out, thinking it was just the fuel pump. And I got another fuel pump and put it on here, 8.2 psi. So I guess for whatever reason, they decided to start doing these fuel pressure too high. So I ended up having to buy a fuel pressure regulator for a factory fuel pump. So it kind of sucks. And here's something to let you know, because I do remember having an issue, and somebody wanted to know why I just didn't buy one of the big Holley or Edelbrock fuel pumps, block mount pump, to put on here. The reason is they don't fit these cars. The bottoms of them hit the frame cradle here, so that's an issue. So I've actually got a round piece of a pipe cap that's not so deep. I hole sawed my frame underneath that where that fuel pump would go, and flush mounted that pipe cap in there, so I have a dome sunk in underneath my fuel pump. And it's basically, even for a stock like 70s to 80s fuel pump, the port on the bottom that your fuel hose goes to, that you hose clamp your hose onto, that hangs down pretty low. So if you don't have that little indent right there, your engine can move around and it can bend that tab up, which happened to me on one of my first cars I'd done. So one of Might have been the second or third car, I don't remember. But anyway, so I started pipe capping it to do that. I'm not big on electric fuel pumps. It's another one of them electric gadgets on a car that I don't care for. My first 55 I built, I put a Holley electric fuel pump back there on the frame rail by the tank, and that was the loudest, most obnoxious thing I ever seen in my life. So I'm just not big on electric fuel pumps. And if I remember right, it seemed like that one lasted like 6 months and then it stopped working and I had to buy another one and put on there. So I don't put as much faith in electronic gadgets as what most people do. But then again, for me, it's all about you know, being easy to work on and being cheap parts. That's why I love the small block Chevy platform. It's things are cheap, man, to keep them going. So I guess I'm going to cut this off. I'm trying to figure out how to do it because I don't want to heat that paint up. I might be able to get away if I can get this bracket cut off here pretty easily. I can go back in with a brush and touch up the bottom of that where this was mounted, and I won't have to paint the whole thing, which would be a plus. So anyway, I'm gonna look around, see if I can find my my jeweler's saw. Would be perfect for that. So I think that's what I'm gonna use, but I gotta find it. I think I took it back in my house. All right, so I got the bracket cut off the bottom of the fuel pressure regulator. So I use my jeweler's saw. This is what you would use as a jeweler to cut rings, like to size them or whatever. So anyway, it made a nice precision cut, really nice and clean. It didn't create any heat, so it didn't mess up the paint other than, you know, where I cut it off. So once I got it cut off, I went in and filed this a little bit to get it, you know, pretty flat, and then I had to bevel the side a little bit to make it match the rest of it. So right now, I had painted that with this shot out of a spray gun. So I am going to use this on a brush and just touch up that spot on the bottom. This stuff dries really quick. This is the paint that I used on my core support, my inner fenders. I used it on some other stuff, but this stuff's pretty thick out of the can. If your spray gun will spray it, it will work, but if you have to reduce that stuff, and I called the manufacturer and talked to them on the phone, I use a high quality urethane grade reducer if you need to thin that down, that SEM brand. Okay. Sure, I'm glad it's on the bottom. You'd pretty much have to stand on your head and look underneath there. That'll work. At least it's not shiny metal there. It doesn't look bad, you know, with just that, but that's what I cut off. Well, sometimes you get in a predicament on these engines where you know, got to stand on your head, try to tighten up stuff. Sometimes you need a special wrench. You ever seen a wrench like that? I don't know if I've shown this before on the channel or not. This is all standard. How cool is that? It says Italy on it. I really don't know what you would use that for, but I thought it was kind of cool.